Oh, hi, Mina. My Watch Trainer Deaths, and welcome back to Trat's Reviews. Today I'm going to be doing the Berserk Golden Age arc, which is a series of 3 movies, all covering relatively the first third of the series. This is a rather quick review that I put together. In fact, it was very on the spot because of the fact I was juggling between a couple of them. But Berserk is one of my favorite series, so I figured I'd go ahead and do this since I just finished it now. So the Berserk Golden arc, the Golden Age arc. So the first one is Berserk: The Golden Age, Part 1, The Egg of the King. The second is the Battle for Doldrey, and the third is Descent or Advent or Eclipse or whatever you translate that as. So the Egg of the King covers up to relatively the halfway point, to be entirely honest, of the original anime. And then the other two, the second and third ones, cover the entirety of the other half of the anime. So for those of you who are not aware, there is an anime for Berserk. Actually not half bad considering how old it is, but ignore the opening and endings. The soundtrack is amazing. I'm not reviewing the anime because I'm reviewing the movies instead. The first movie ends when the Band of the Hawk has started reaching higher status in society, and then the second one ends with Griffith's capture, and the third one ends at the large, gaping cliffhanger of the series. So in the original anime, I said I wasn't going to, but I am. In the original anime, the series ends on the cliffhanger. In the movie, it goes a little bit past the cliffhanger and then introduces you as to where the manga continues on. In the case of both the movies and the original anime, go read the manga. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. It is one of my favorite mangas of all time. However, there are some side notes here. The first is that it's a rather violent series, a little gory, a little bit of torture, a little bit of rape, a little bit of people being dismembered and blood flying everywhere. But that's fine. It's a seinen. They're always good. The other thing is that we are in the Dark Ages, so if you are a female, that's actually one of the interesting themes about the series, is, if you are a female, it sucks to be you, essentially is what it turns into. And it's not entirely wrong, let's be honest. We go look at the Dark Ages, being a woman sucked back in the Dark Ages. So, for those of you super feminists out there, be glad that you weren't born back then, because you wouldn't be a feminist if you were. Okay, so the movies, I'm going to go ahead and get the giant elephant that's in the room taken care of. The movies use a lot of CG, an exceeding amount of CG. It is obscene at the amount of CG that is used. I am not going to lie. So basically, everything that is not a main character is CG. Well, most of the environments are animated, but pretty much all the soldiers are CG, the horses are CG, the armor is CG, and in fact, one point of the movie that actually made me start dying of laughter is in movie 2 during the ball. Wait. Yes, in movie 2 during the ball, I was just laughing my face off because of the fact that all the characters were wearing CG uniforms and outfits and dresses and all the rest of that jazz that you wear to a ball, but then they themselves are animated. So animated head, animated arms, animated legs, CG body. In fact, if I recall correctly, I believe both the king and the princess are straight up full CG during that scene. So if you're a CG hater, this movie is not for you. Go read the manga. If you don't mind CG, then you'll be fine. And when you're done, you can go read the manga. By the way, have I mentioned that you should probably go read the manga? I don't know. For those of you who are actually interested in the plot of a series I praise so much, which is one of my personal favorites, essentially the main character Guts just wanders around at the beginning of the series. Well, okay, I should phrase that. He doesn't quite so much wander around. his backstory is that he wanders around. That's the way to phrase it. He is a mercenary. He was raised in a mercenary band. He was beat by his father until eventually he just straight up. Was it decapitation or skewering? I don't remember exactly how it happened. It's been more than a year since I read that point in the manga. But Guts kills his father, becomes a mercenary, just goes from place to place, living his life, and he is is one of those types of characters who you can either look at in two ways. The first way is that he fights to live. Um, because in my opinion, the series hasn't really given an actual reason at the beginning as for why he just goes about doing whatever. But either you look at it as he fights to live or he fights to survive, because they're a little different. The fighting to live bit is more along the lines of living for fighting. I know I'm just flipping the words, but it's kind of important to me. So basically, in that mindset, it would be Guts has only known fighting, so I guess I'll just continue to fight. Whereas the other option is I have no choice but to fight. Which is definitely different from Zod, who is a recurring character in the series. He's a demonoid, is how I'll describe him. But Zod is just seeking for the thrill of battle. He gets raging hard-ons every time he fights someone who presents a challenge to him. And in fact, as the series progresses, Guts turns into like one of his side projects of, aw man, this guy could possibly kill me later on. That makes me super hyped. Oh, I cannot wait for that fight. I'm gonna let him live for a while and I'm gonna let him get stronger. But oh man, I cannot wait for that fight. That's Zod. But Guts himself just kind of wanders around at the beginning, fighting for no real reason. Um, until he runs into Griffith of the Band of the Hawk, the most Bishonen of males I've ever seen. Flowing white hair, super, super beautiful boy face. Oh my word, it's ridiculous. In fact, in the anime, there is almost a gay scene between Guts and Griffith, where where they're bathing together. All the fangirls out there who love their yaoi, go watch that. You'll enjoy it. Or at least I imagine you would, being like late. The original anime was like what, early 90s? That sounds right. Original early 90s animation of near yowiness. Go enjoy. Guts ends up catching Griffith's eye after a battle that they were both at. And Griffith was incredibly interested in Guts' fighting style and the fact that he has very little armor on him but carries a giant sword. He barely defeated a well-known man-slaying knight, who I don't remember the name of actually at the moment because of the fact that he's just there at the beginning. Until he just gets his head split open. Guts catches Griffith's eye. It's the important thing. And after the battle, sends some of his some of his band over to grab Griffith's attention. Grab Guts' attention. And Guts kills a couple of them, but he doesn't mind that much. It's only peons. And then Guts also has his first encounter with Casca at this point. And then Griffith comes over and it's like, okay, you and me, we'll have a bit of a fight. And then if I win, I own you. And then if you win, you can keep on doing whatever you want. And that's perfectly fine. And Guts is like, okay, sure, it's more fighting. I'm fine with that. And Guts loses. So, Guts ends up joining the Band of the Hawk. Something else that's introduced relatively early on in the series is that Griffith wields a bailiff. It is a little red amulet thing around his neck that he carries. And it has a face, but the parts of the face are moved around. So the mouth is in one place, and the eyes are just kind of weirdly placed, and the nose is like, it's a face, but if you stuck it in a blender, and then like the actual placement of the face pieces afterwards is like the Beylit. There we go. In the series lore, there's a couple of different types of Beylits. So far, of the ones I'm very familiar with, there's blue ones and red ones. There might be different ones. So basically, the Beylits are promises of power, but at a cost. So the blue generally means that whatever your wish is, it's going to be granted, but it's a lot like the monkey's paw tale, where it got granted, but not in a way that you actually feel happy about. In fact, if I recall correctly, about 99% of everyone who has a blue Beylit just straight up becomes a demon of one form or another. Now Griffith has a red Beylit, which is the most severe of all. So he will get ultimate power, but also have to make ultimate sacrifices. Though to be entirely honest, the amount of power he gets for the sacrifices is a bit much, but yeah, whatever. I'm still waiting for the end of the manga, which has been ongoing for like 15 some odd years or whatever. It's been a very long on-running manga. Red Beylits, watch out for those. Don't pick them up, please. You don't want that. But other than that, that's basically the gist of it. Casca, though. Casca is a female who is almost but not quite in love with Griffith, but who does fall in love with Guts as the series continues. She is not quite tsundere, because she legitimately does hates Guts hates Guts. I'm actually surprised I said that right the first time. But she really, absolutely hates Guts at the beginning of the series. In fact, blaming him for a lot of various things that happen throughout the series. So that's most of movie 1. Getting Griffith into the band. No, it's Guts. Okay. Problem is that Guts runs around screaming, "Griffith!" in the manga all the time. So, please give me a break. I am serious. He goes around yelling that. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, in the movies there is some nudity. Like I said back at the beginning, there's nudity, there's rape, there's sex, there's blood and gore, all the rest of that jazz, but it's really good. In fact, one thing I find really interesting is that for the sex scenes that are in the movies, I feel like I wasn't actually watching sex, which is odd, I know, but essentially, like, they show it, but they don't go into great detail. It's just, it's like, well, I mean, like, boobs are there, sure, and, like, you see the hand groping, and then, like, cupping stuff, but, okay, there is sex, but it's not, like, super detailed. It's not like hentai sex. It's just sex. That's how I'll explain it. You have been warned. Please don't let that be the thing that drives you off. I really hope that doesn't actually turn out to be the case. Because, like, overall, there's only one. As long as I remember this correctly, sex only happens 3 times in the movie. Plural. So, as long as, like, I haven't actually watched the entirety of Game of Thrones, but from what I've been hearing, if you're fine with Game of Thrones, you are more than fine with the stuff that happens in Berserk. In fact, Berserk would be tame in comparison. There you go. That's how I'll explain it. It's tame in comparison. So yeah, that's out of the way. So one of the interesting things for the band is my light on. It was totally off. But one of the things that's interesting is that it's a very, like, not only does the Band of the Haunt grow gradually as the plot progresses, but also there's a very building sense that you get in the background because of the fact, I mean, like, okay, so, like, for example, in most shonens, the main characters will get various power-ups as the series continues until they are eventually able to accomplish their ultimate feat. Now, in Berserk, it's relatively similar, but instead of becoming stronger, it's just that more people join the party. That's how I'll explain it, or at least for the first part of Berserk. Like, for the movies, in terms of the movies, The party gradually just grows as Griffith becomes more and more popular. His charisma explodes out of his Bishonen face. And as his gorgeous locks get longer and longer, more and more people join the Band of the Hawk, and the Band of the Hawk gradually gets more and more exploits and fame as they continue to take down stronger and stronger foes and more impossible feats, leading up to the Battle of Doldrey. Now, Doldrey is this huge castle thing in Midland, which, or at least I hope it's Midland. Basically, everything happens in Midland, so I should be right. But Doldrey is this huge castle that's never been taken in, like, hundreds of years or whatever. And Griffith, after becoming a high-ranking general in the army, is given the task of taking it after he offers. Well, okay. It's more like, oh, we can't take this gigantic castle, and we've lost some of our best men, and we're just totally boned. And then Griffith's like, I could do it, but only if you told me to, King. And the King's like, can you actually do this? And then Griffith's like, sure, I can do it. Thanks for asking me, buddy. And then he goes and does it, and then more fame. Huzzah. So after the Battle of Doldrey, there's a bit of a lull. So after the Battle of Doldrey, Griffith, as the leader of the Band of the Hawk, is awarded noble status, shall we say. He becomes a nobleman, or a knight, or whatever. And so eventually gets more access to the king's daughter, the princess. Now, the king very much loves his daughter and spoiled her half to death, but she does genuinely fall in love with Griffith. Now, meanwhile, Griffith and Berserk have had not Berserk, his name is Guts, the series is Berserk. I'm having a hard time with names today, guys. Please give me a break. Combesh, Deka Desai. I probably goofed that up too. But the princess falls in love with Griffith, and the relationship between Griffith and Guts has been gradually growing as well as the series goes on, and they're practically brothers by this point. But some weird things happen, the first of which is that someone tries to assassinate Griffith, but just barely failed because the arrow happened to strike the Baylet instead of striking Griffith's heart. Now Griffith is not particularly pleased over this aspect, and so he figures out who tried to assassinate him and decides to assassinate him back, and to do so he sends Guts. Guts goofed up a little bit, just a little bit, and as a result felt really, really bad. And you'll understand what I mean when you get there. So he returns a relatively broken man because that was not the original plan that he had in store as to how things went. And so on his way back, he runs into Casca, and they both head over to where Griffith is. Now, meanwhile, Griffith is putting the moves on the princess, and he mentions that he doesn't believe that anyone who just fights and lives and doesn't have a dream and doesn't fight for a dream can be on par with him. And this really messes up Guts even more. I almost said Berserk again, but I saved myself. Guts is really, really out of it after this point. Like, he feels like another douchebag after the assassination, and then is told by someone who he thought was his best friend that Griffith doesn't even look at him this way. So he just kind of continues on with the party for a while, and then decides to leave. Now, Griffith actually did think highly of Guts, and it's just that there's a little bit of discommunication going on here. And I know this sounds a bit like yaoi, strong male friendships and all the rest of that jazz, but whatever. But Guts eventually goes up to Griffith and is like, okay, I'm gonna fight you again. I want to leave. If I win, I leave, and then if I stay, then I'll just be here. I mean, if I lose, I'll stay. So they fight again, but this time Guts wins, and so he just goes off, and this leaves Griffith absolutely broken on the inside. He's lost one of his best men, he's lost a great traveling companion and buddy of his. And this leads him to do some rather drastic, and to be entirely honest, kind of pretty dumb things in his fit of depression raged thing. As a result, he is branded a traitor. The Band of the Hawk is attempted to be assassinated, but a little bit do survive. And Griffith is sent down to the depths of local hell and tortured for over a year. During this year, Casca has to rally the Band of the Hawk and try to at least get everyone to survive. And the Band of the Hawk goes back to being a relative roadside burglar type thing. And they just live on a very daily basis and try to get by. Guts, meanwhile, has been out training and doing gutsy things. But he eventually does come back at a certain point when people are still trying to assassinate the Band of the Hawk. And so he joins back up with the Band of the Hawk, but only on the condition that once Griffith is back, he'll be gone again. I think I will stop the plot synopsis here, because that seems like a good idea. There is another thing that's going on in the background of Berserk, the series, and that is demonic influences and the supernatural. As I said before, Zod, who becomes, I don't want to say quite like a companion of Guts, because Guts does get his own companions in the manga, after the cliffhanger, but, there are definitely supernatural beings, that's how I'll put it. Something else that's interesting about the series is that the, head evil forces are called the God Hand, and the series puts demons and angels into the same category, essentially. It's just basically monsters with ridiculous powers. So Zod is basically immortal. The Skeleton Knight is a recurring figure, and in fact is the person who saves Berserk during his most dire hour. Now that being said, he's relatively neutral towards Guts, and as far as I can tell, only saved Guts because of the fact that he feels that Guts will be a really solid fighting companion of his, and also gives Guts, at least leads Guts towards getting his awesome armor in the manga. Oh, while I think about it, there is an appearance of some of the supernatural characters in the series. The only one who really gets actual screen time though, screen time, is Puck. Puck is a fairy, and he hangs out and helps with Casca, in later on in the series, and essentially just kind of serves as a I don't want to say a guardian angel, because of the fact that Puck himself can't do anything, for the most part, but basically Puck just, Puck hangs out with Guts, and then just keeps track of Casca later on the manga. There we go. Got it. Zod already mentioned, Skeleton Knight already mentioned. Also in the credits of the movie, the opening credits, it does show a bunch of scenes and characters from the manga, that are not actually in the, movie itself. And also there is a scene right at the end of the, opening credits of all three movies where Guts is wielding the Dragon Slayer, I believe. So be hyped over that. It's only for a short while though, so, you'll have to enjoy it while you can. Alrighty then. Now that that's out of the way, other things. Music. Okay, so in the original anime, as I said, I love the soundtrack in the original anime. I'm not even gonna attempt it. I was gonna put the just while you're here on YouTube, just type in Berserk OST Beyblade. You'll get one of my favorite songs in the series. Like, there's a lot of ones that I really like. I like Guts' theme in the anime because it's super, like, it's almost meditation-y, but it's also very calm and very unlike Guts. Like, the contrast between Guts as a character and Guts' theme is really cool in my opinion. Because normally it's like, if a character's generally like super energetic or whatever, then their theme song is also very energetic. But in the case of Guts, especially Guts and Casca's theme together, it feels like a calm rain, which is really, really cool in my opinion. And again, this is one of my favorite series, so I'm gonna love a lot of things, but I'm just saying, I really love the calmness of most of the series. Now that being said, it does have some rather intense music, and also the God Hand music is really cool, and also an excellent marching tune. I use it to walk to school all the time. Very cool. Check it out. God Hand Forces, if I recall correctly. But like the overall themes in the anime, I mean, it's like super dark, but whatever. Like the entire series is relatively dark. Like, if there's something that can go wrong, it probably will at some point. Now, granted, at some point in the near future, we will have we will have plot. I just have to wait for it. I just have to wait for it really, really hard. Because, like, right now, Guts is running around, and, they're collecting, like, elemental stuff. Because, there's demons everywhere, and they need to be combated. But, as things are, they're currently working on powering up. So, if you're gonna go read the manga, that's where you'll catch up, is while they're working on powering up, probably. That being said, the mangaka was on hiatus for a little over a year and then just started again recently. But I haven't seen a chapter out of him for another month and a half, so I'm hoping that it wasn't one of those things where it's like, I'll make a chapter and then leave. Oh, that would make me upset. I would be upset. So, that being said, let's see. So the animation, I already said, the animation's pretty good, except for the fact that there's CG everywhere. The animation in the original anime is, it's 90s. It's early 90s. The music in the movie. Now here's an interesting thing. The music in the movie, I didn't notice the music in the movie. Now I can take this one of two ways. Either one, it wasn't overly spectacular, or two, it perfectly fitted the mood, and I just didn't realize it. That's the way it can go. Either one, it was good, or two, it was meh. So, whatever. Okay, I'm into a half hour at this point. This is going to be ridiculous editing. So I'm going to go ahead and end the review here. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being awful and 10 being this is absolutely amazing, I'm going to give it an 8 for a couple of reasons. I mean, obviously, I love the series, but the main problem I'm having with it is the amount of CG. I mean, that being said, the amount of CG detail is good. I did like the amount of CG detail. Like, I loved reading up on medieval times and things like that when I was younger. So, being able to see all the things I had super hype about when I was a young lad of 13 made me super happy. Especially the amount of detail they put into the actual, like, fighting of medieval times. But at the same time, that ball scene, though. Oh my word, that ball scene. Oh, I should probably talk about the end. Only a little bit. Only a little bit. In my outro here. I'm going to talk about the end a little bit. Okay, so there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of gore in the series. But all of that comes to a climax right at the end of the movie. Lots of things are going to die. So many things will die that there is a literal, just straight up, not a foot deep, but like up to your ankle amount of blood everywhere. There are ripped apart bodies, destroyed, absolutely destroyed corpses, blood everywhere. And then there's a very, I want to say, like, for me, because of the fact I enjoyed the series so much, and I really empathize with Guts at his most dire need. And I am going to throw up an image here. But like like I said, like the entire series has this slow climbing feeling to it. And then when it reaches the climax, you're just sitting there going, ah, ooh, look at that. Ah, no, I can't look at that. Stop. I mean, it's really, really in your face. And even for someone like me who doesn't mind like blood and gore and whatnot, because of the building factor in the series, I can just feel it. And I love that. It's so cool. In my opinion, it's so cool. But yeah, so I'm gonna give it an 8 because of the CG, but I love the series. I totally advise you check it out. If you check out the anime, just skip the opening and ending because they're terrible. If you're gonna watch the movies, it's gonna be faster, and you can marathon the entire thing in an afternoon. You can marathon the entire movie set in an afternoon. They are not dubbed at this point, as far as I am aware. A little pop-up will probably show up if it is, but as far as I can recall, there is no English voice casting. I am wrong. I'm staring at it right now. There are English voice actors. I am wrong. I don't even have to put up the pop-up thing. I'm staring right at it. So there are some of this has been made into English and is available. Okay. So 8 out of 10. I highly advise you go check it out. Now that being said, the manga is going to take a very long while to complete. So if you're one of those people that has to sit down and read the entire thing in one go, then I have some bad news for you. It's going to be a while. But if you are one of those people, then please just put this down on your list of things to check every once in a while. And then once you see your completed sign, then go at. It might just be a little while. So keep that in mind. I have been doing this review for 30 minutes. I need to stop. Okay, so if there's anything you want me to review, please stick it in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. If there's anything you want me to review, please stick it in the comments below. By the way, just to let you know, I still have a huge list of things to review. And I am working on it, but copyright content BS is royal pain on YouTube. So I'm gonna try and continue making these reviews as much as I possibly can. But if I don't make anything for a while, it's because I have copyright problems that I have to take care of before I can make more reviews. So if you're not aware of that, then please just be patient if you are someone who is on my channel for my reviews. Okay, 35 minutes. I gotta go. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, Jenna.